So yes, hello everyone, and welcome to the second day of the Manila Epoxy meet cycle. Kind of like lighter agenda for today. We had a couple of only one or two topics that we didn't manage to cover yesterday in the meetings. So yeah, I believe we can get started with this first topic for today, which is the deprecation or the removal of the NFS Ganesha standalone helper. Ashley, would you like to talk us through this?
Yeah. So back in, I want to say Caracal, we deprecated it. We put out warnings saying don't use it. We will eventually get rid of it. And we had planned for that in this cycle. And then there was some chatter on the mailing list. And then I think 2 weeks ago we decided, or we were discussing some of it in the upstream, the IRC meeting, uh, that there's some people or some projects that are using this, and so it's up to us to decide whether to keep it around for a bit longer and give people the chance to switch over to orchestrated self stuff, or just drop it now rather than later. That's up for discussion for us today. Yeah.
So the upside of doing this would be to clean up the code and try to reduce the amount of maintenance that we're doing on these CI jobs, for instance. We don't really have the bandwidth to keep up with all of the CI changes that happen, and every cycle at least there have been some major changes to the NFS CI, this FFS NFS CI. So it would be nice to finally sunset this. The downside of doing this is it looks like unless you try to do this, you really don't get the attention that this stuff was deprecated a long time ago, and that there's been a decent alternative that folks have not started using. Technically, I mean, it's probably like any uh, old and reliable software. It's been working, so nobody's been paying attention to how the next steps of this are going. Um, yeah, so not a good situation to be in. The next steps for this would be if we don't do this cycle, we can't do it the next cycle. We can only do it in the G cycle, and that might be quite some time now. Um, there is a thing we could do, which is the CI is best effort from this team. We're gonna try to keep it up as much as we can. If we can't, we just let the mailing list know, let people know that the stuff is being, has dropped off from the testing, and there are risks of using it in production at that point.
Sorry, did you say keep the, like, for example, keep the protocol helper but remove the tests themselves?
Oh, no, no, I meant keep it all, and then if the tests start failing, we would just be doing, any maintenance on best effort,
Mm,
unless somebody else picks it up from us and has the bandwidth to actually put in some good effort on this.
mm.
Would just be like, we can discuss it like anything else, saying, okay, we've not had the time for it. We've not had time to fix some of the perma-failing CI jobs on our current pipelines, and we've been kicking the can down the road, right? Sometimes that happens. So it'll be in that situation. It was in our interest to keep it up to date and keep it maintained. But if we're having our attention split into the new cluster mode, and trying to test this as much as possible and keep adding features over there, I don't suppose we need to pay as much attention to keep this maintained. That's what I mean by best effort. which is something we got to clarify to the upstream community through that mailing list post. Um, and that's one way to go about it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good approach, and definitely we should share an update to the OpenStack Discuss mailing list. Yeah, about the deprecation though, like I felt, like if we do the removal now, I saw like James, we all saw James mentioning that like they might have been problems delivering it. Yeah, it's something a bit complicated. Like as soon as we've sent that, as soon as like we started the deprecation, then there should be attention to this, but it's more difficult to have people's eyes on this. So I hope they at least look at this and try to use like another better suggested approach. But I'm not sure. I mean, if we just like drop it right now, it's like it's a bit complicated for a lot of people deploying it. And I think the issue was like with Canonical's deployments, the way that they do the things that they ship, like Juju charms, stuff like that. Yeah, so I agree with communicating this first. Like we say, look, this is kind of like best effort, and we would not advise production use for it. I think that's a good way to, like say, look, we are gonna keep this for the moment, but we still intend to remove it. And maybe if you have the time to, please look at like the how to migrate this as well and make the like clustered Ceph NFS available. Otherwise, yeah, it's the burden on maintaining this would be totally on us.
Okay, I can draft another mailing list email communicating that. And are we aiming, would be aiming for G release then instead of E?
Yeah, anything that falls out of this release in terms of removals will have to be in G.
Okay. All right, I can draft that.
Awesome, thank you, Ashley.
Thank you.
Is there something else related to this topic?
No, if anything, I think one of the aspects of migration which is still being figured out is the path to migration right now between the between a standalone NFS Ganesha and the NFS Ganesha cluster is through downtime, and it could be a significant lift and shift kind of a thing. Though the data is not migrating, it would involve all the clients unmounting their shares and remounting their shares and so on, which may not be difficult depending on how the mounts are working, how the mount was done, for instance. But it is still a pain, and we were trying to get a better solution worked out through the NFS Ganesha community, except they're also very forward looking, and so they've been working on features and bug fixes in this clustered Ganesha mode. but they've been telling us that they have some ideas for how to ease this migration, and under some circumstances that there could be a possibility that this could be non-disruptive or least disruptive, less disruptive than it currently is. Um, so that's something to look forward to, and that might be one more thing that'll convince folks that it's a good time to migrate. And these things will come out of band of Manila. I don't suppose there are going to be any more changes to Manila in terms of the migration. If you do have, I mean, right now the way that looks is it looks like configuration updates to NFS Ganesha. And when you're ready to migrate, it would be something that's done. And Manila is not really aware of what's going on. It might just involve a Manila service restart.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you for the insights. Um, is there something else you'd like to add?
Nothing more on my side. I'll have that drafted probably by next week. I'd rather send this out sooner rather than later, so people aren't worrying about if they'll lose access by the time we release.
I think your first email was pretty good in terms of letting people know what the impact is. Really, like you're not really losing access to your data,
Yeah.
and your workloads are not going to be affected when you upgrade and this stuff is missing. What really is affected is the management path,
Mhm.
and that's what you need to adjust. And to do that though is you need to take some actions to migrate the clients over. Um, and it's always painful when something like this happens, but it is something that if you were to do this on your own time, it is done quite regularly as part of maintenance. Things do get shut down. um, so, but it's just that this upgrade is kind of asking you to put a date on that. So good email and good communication the first time around. But let's yeah follow up with this update.
Perfect.
Yes.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for getting this started, Ashley. Thanks for sending the email and taking care of this.
Happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Any other topics as part of the upstream mid cycle? Otherwise, I think we can do some mix up between Manila Weekly Meeting and cover a couple of the Manila Weekly Meeting things, if that's okay. Right. Let's do that then. We have only a couple of topics, and I mean, we were supposed to do um, mostly the mid cycle for today. Yeah, for our schedule, I mean, we are 20 days away from feature freeze. Um, this is it's like quite close, and like we should pretty much merge our features by then. I would be really happy if we can do that. I don't think we have many major features waiting on Garrett. The only thing is we need to figure out the issues we are having with the access rule update tests and merge all of the related changes that are missing so that we ensure that the drivers will be able to create the access rules properly. But yeah, I think that's underway, and we'll need to evaluate that. um, for feature fees, there are a couple of other like smaller patches as well waiting to be merged. I'll kind of like, I think some people have or some people have been contributing with features, but they might not be aware of the review focus in their pad. I'll add the changes that are missing there so that we can focus on the changes that are on review on the Etherpad. And also after the feature freeze week, as like we've agreed to have a bug squash, and in the week right after the feature freeze, the bug squash would be in the week of like March 3rd to March 7th, and four of the Zorillas won't be online for Thursday and Friday, or maybe even Wednesday. So I would suggest that we have the bug squash for the first 2 days of this week, so Monday and Tuesday. And I was chatting to Vida about the trends of our bugs, and Vida suggested that we might need new bug squash focused on the stale bugs and trying to get to close them and figure out if they are still valid, because there are a lot of stale bugs that have been open for a while, and we never actually got closure for them. So is everybody okay if we have the bug squash on the week of March 3rd? I'm actually saying that asking us to keep that on that week, because the next week, like March 10th, is the RC1 week. And yeah, I would like to avoid, or I would like to get us more time actually to get stuff merged before RC1, and then we can keep observing RCI and the drivers and ensure that everything is working just fine, if that's okay. Do you have any thoughts on that? Is like March 3rd and 4th, are these dates okay for you for the bug squash?
Yeah.
Okay
Okay,
for us.
awesome, thank you. I'll share an email in the OpenStack Discuss mailing list, and we can also gather the list and share the list before the bug squash actually happens. Yeah, that's. I think that covers it for like announcements and release. Do you have something else you'd like to add? Got them. Yeah, please go ahead.
Hey, no, just was confused. You're saying that we're just gonna keep what is published on the schedule, right? As far as the bug squash.
Yes. So
Okay,
March 3rd and 4th, because March 6
six.
and 7,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they are opening for days, North America days, and I think at least
Right.
four of us are attending, so we won't be able to join the meeting, and we won't be able to do a lot on the bug squash for those days. So yeah, I was suggesting we can, if we can keep it to Monday and Tuesday, that would be great.
Yeah,
Are
that
we
works.
canceling the weekly meeting on that Thursday as well?
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah, because most of us, or at least four of us, will be offline unless um, other people feel the need to have the meeting. Then yes, we can keep it, but I think I will need someone else to run the meeting. Um, yeah. Do you have any thoughts? Should we keep the meeting or should we just like cancel it? I'm referring to the meeting in March 6th.
Yeah, we can. I'm okay with canceling.
Awesome. Right.
Yeah, at the very
So
least, it'll give some time to review the stuff from the bug squash after Monday and Tuesday.
great. Thank you.
Only thing to remember is that in case there are any stragglers after feature freeze, I mean, these bugs may not, unless they're release critical, we're not going to be this thing. But the feature freeze exceptions, those are the ones I'd be concerned about, given the next week is RC1.
Yes. I'm kind of hoping we don't need any feature freeze exceptions for this time, considering like the features that are currently being proposed on Garrett. There aren't many major features, so I'm thinking that this time we will have enough time to merge everything for the feature freeze week, and then we can keep observing the CI. Unless like there's like a some feature that like didn't show up on Garrett yet, but that should be discussed Otherwise, like it's a bit complicated to like submit the changes and at this time on the release and then try to get them in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes, I guess, and anything of that sort should be discussed on the mailing list anyway.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I think that covers it for the agenda. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. Yeah. Next thing is I think we have a couple of things for, or one bug at least for bug triage, um, or two bugs actually. So first one is this one. Let me copy the link. Sorry. Yeah, this one. Yeah, I've reported this. So I've seen this issue happening in a downstream job, um, and it would be nice to have like other people's thoughts and see if other people have run into the same issue. So basically, what is happening is we were configuring environments that like could be kind of like geographically located differently, also known as like different availability zones. So we've configured an environment with different availability zones in different nodes, and we had three different Manila share services. So we had three controller nodes, and the three of them had Manila installed, and all of the three were using this FFS driver. And we kind of configured the backends with the same name. So each one of the controller nodes had one Ceph backend, and all of the three Ceph backends had the name CephFS. And Manila pretty much couldn't represent the three of them when I ran Manila service list, even though like it was configured that way. So whenever I ran Manila service list, only one of the services would be picked up, and because apparently we are considering like I haven't identified yet if it is that we are only keeping one of them represented in the database, which would be quite bad, or if we are only or if we are filtering the query and only returning one when we do service list. I'm not sure if anyone else ran into this before, or if you have any thoughts on this.
Well, uh, sorry, I was trying to find better words. Uh, so this is a configuration nightmare, right? Like technically, um, you have multiple hosts, but you're trying to make Manila think that they're the same host by setting the host key to the same name. And you have multiple hosts with different backends, but you're saying that these backend names are going to be the same as well.
Yes.
So that is very confusing to Manila, and the only differentiating factor seems to be the availability zone. But the way the multi backend approach works is if you're trying to define the same name, what's really happening is, I mean, if it's in the same config file, for instance, you know how that works with Oslo config, right? These are
Yeah.
just INI configurations which get updated into dictionaries. So if you have different sections that then they're named the same, they're just collated, and the last one wins. And
Yes.
that's how even the service is interpreting them. So technically, if you have multiple hosts, same backend name, these things are getting updated to the same exact service. That's what's happening.
Yes.
And so let's say service A is on AZ1, service B is on AC2, service C is on AC3, but all three of them are service A's, right? And they're all pretending to be on the same host. The ultimate configuration will probably be service A on AC3. That's how it'll look, because the database is just getting updated on the same record again and again and again.
Yeah.
So why are we doing this misconfiguration would be my first question. Is it something that is inflexible? Um, or desired in some way that they have to all be named the same?
No, it was just like a kind of a coincidence, right? They don't have to have the same name, and would advise to have like different names. But yes, like it was just when I realized that the names were equal, then only one of them was being picked up, and yes, I thought of the service update to yeah, I don't think that again, like I don't think the backend names should be the same, and it's very difficult to have a scenario where you have like host name being the same as the backend name in multiple places. But yeah, it's just a behavior that I would likely avoid. Um, Personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal if you have like that thing, like good practices of having different names for the backends. And I checked with Cinder, and even though they had the same backend name and the same host name, it worked in their case. So yeah, maybe if it is an easy fix, that should be okay. But if like if it's gonna cause a lot of trouble, then I don't know if we should
So
put the higher
in case of
priority on this.
Cinder, you had different backends, but were they all? I mean, Cinder has another concept called cluster. So was the backend cluster different in each of their situations?
I don't remember exactly that. I need to double check the configuration again. But I mean, the I from the configuration file, the only thing that I could spot that was different, and at least in the CinderConf that I looked at, they didn't have any cluster defined. They only had the storage availability zone defined for each one of the backends, and that's the only thing that was like different from every single one of their backends.
I see. Yeah, I mean, this may be something we have not documented, right? And that's what probably causes this confusion. It is just the theory of how you deploy. So technically, if you're trying to use the same host name across multiple real hosts, we assume the intention is that your service can migrate from one host to another, and you don't want to have to update the database each time that happens. And this is especially useful if you're trying to run, with pacemaker or something like that, where migrating from one host to another is part of the failover operation. And even probably on Kubernetes deployments, that's kind of what I know Red Hat is trying to do. Just maintain the same host name, so that it goes to a different worker. It all looks the same anyway. So that's just a neat trick. I don't suppose we need to do anything to touch that. But if you think there is a desire to maintain the same backend name across multiple hosts, but they are different backends. It may be a simple fix for us to check how the service is getting instantiated, and if the service is, I mean, I know where that code is. It's there in the Manila share service.py. So when we are trying to update the service in the database, we would just have to make sure that there is a uniqueness between the service name and the AC name that it's reporting, and then you would have multiple services because each one of them would create a separate record. But in case of Cinder, I suspect it's because of the clustering behavior rather than the aspect of identifying multiple AZs.
Yep, it could definitely be it. Awesome, thanks. I mean, this can be worked around with like just changing the backend name in the config, so should be fine. I don't think this should have like a high priority or a status should be something other than low, or importance should be something other than low. Yeah,
Yeah, I would add the reasoning to the bug and probably keep it low. And if we have some time, we could just either change it up or explain that we won't fix it. And this is and we would probably have to write some doc that's
yeah,
missing.
sounds good. Thank you. I'll change it to triaged low and mention the reasoning for it. Thank you. Is there something else you'd like to add to this discussion? Right. Hearing Sana says no. I'll open the next one. Yeah, was reported 5 hours ago. By Kiran. Thanks for the report, Kiran. Um, delete VLAN even if IP space is reused.
But the bug that we have done, for which Maurice has worked on. So I'm planning to get upstream, hopefully this week or the next week.
Awesome. Thank you. So yeah, I will assign this to you on Launchpad then. Awesome. I think that's it for bug triage. Is there something else you'd like to add? Cool. All right. I don't have any other topics for today. But if you'd like to bring something up while we are in this meeting, then please speak up. Otherwise, we can wrap up and end this meeting earlier.
Thanks, Carlos.
Yeah, nothing from me. Thank you.
Hey Gautam, just add your thoughts
Oh
on
yeah,
the
on the
injection
on the
spec.
spec.
Yeah,
Yes.
just a reminder. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Um, thanks everyone for joining and participating. Well, let's hop off. Hope you have a great day and a great week. Yeah, I'll talk to you and Opus Vanilla on RC again. Have a nice day.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye.
See you guys.
Yeah, bye guys.
Bye. Thanks.